What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another exciting Game Thrifter episode. In this video, I'm going to be going over some more rare / uncommon original Xbox games. I think that maybe a lot of people take it wrong when you say rare. They think everything means it's expensive. But a lot of these games are just more in the uncommon area. You know, it's just something that it's harder to see. You don't really see them out in the wild. Usually if I'm out looking at a mom and pop store, you'll see the same kind of Xbox games. You'll see Halo, you'll see Fable, you'll probably see Forza Motorsport. But some of these on this list, I think, are ones that you don't commonly see. And I always advise people, if you don't see these games and you can see them for a decent price, go ahead and pick them up, because that's going to be something that you can check off your list, and it's really fun to collect for. The cool fact is, collecting for the original Xbox is super easy, because like 96% of the games are still pretty affordable. So I want to get into this. I'm excited to list my list. I'm curious to hear what some of your guys' lists will be down below after the video's over. Let's go ahead and get started. So first up is Spider-Man 2. Now, this game was made by Treyarch and published by Activision, which is funny because Treyarch does the Call of Duty Black Ops games now, and they do those games exclusively. So it's kind of funny to go back to a time where they were actually doing something else, and they did a Spider-Man game of all things. It's absolutely insane. Basically, what's cool about this game is it has some rudimentary open world exploration, kind of swinging through a decently detailed version of Manhattan, and it's responsive web slinging, which I think is really cool for the time. I mean, considering this game is over 20 years old. So the other cool thing about this game is that it blends story-driven missions and battling bosses with a lot of side activities like just stopping robberies, delivering pizzas, rescuing civilians while like going after the villains. So there's a lot of things to do in between, which I find to be really cool. You can also upgrade Spider-Man's skills, and there's a lot of different ones that you can improve. And like I said, there's a lot of random events, muggings, car chases, all that kind of stuff. And I like that about it. The game is a little bit linear, but it's also one that I find to be extremely satisfying and fun. And this is a game that, isn't one that's typical that you would find going into a shop or whatever. It's kind of hard. I've only ever seen it maybe one time, and I bought it when I saw it, because this wasn't a game that I originally had on the Xbox. So it's nice to be able to pick these up. I don't think it was super expensive, but you're going to pay more than a few bucks for it if you do come across it. But it's well worth it. I think it's a fun game to kind of come across and play. And what's cool about this game is that it is backwards compatible on a 360. So not an Xbox One or Series X, but it is playable on an Xbox 360. So, that's fun to kind of always mess around with. Next up is the always fun Jet Set Radio Future. This is a definite must-play. And here's the thing. You can get this game on the dual pack, where I think it comes with a racing game on the other side, but finding this game solo by itself, almost impossible. So that is the one that I would say, hey, yeah, pick it up. Yeah, if you're just looking to play the game, you can pick it up cheaper with the dual pack or whatever, but getting it by itself is much harder. Of course, this is published by Sega and is kind of a pseudo sequel to Jet Set Radio, which is also known as Jet Grind Radio, which is really cool. So a lot of the traversal and skating is basically kind of inline skates. You kind of zip through an open world districts of like a Tokyo type of place, and you're kind of tagging with graffiti. So basically the actual game involves kind of spray painting pre-designed graffiti on designated spots that you have to tag with the art. You have to pick up the actual spray paint as well, which is really cool. You can actually combo things together, unlocking different moves, and the missions are very cool, because there are, again, like story-driven parts to the game. There's like boss fights and things like that. There's also certain points that you can get from tricks and tagging to unlock new characters within the game. This game helped inspire a lot of other games. Some of the ones that come to mind is Sunset Overdrive, which is a really underrated game on Xbox One. But yeah, like I absolutely love kind of the traversal and stuff. It's got, some really fun parts to it as well. This is a real classic, and like I said, picking this game up by itself is difficult because it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but in my opinion, it's definitely well worth it. I love this game, and if you've ever played it on Dreamcast or whatever, you should definitely pick it up here. Now we're up to one of my favorite games, and this one is definitely harder to come by, as I've never seen this one out in the wild. Toejam and Earl 3 Mission to Earth, which was a fun game exclusive to the original Xbox, mind you. And I have to say, Like, this is why a lot of people originally considered the Xbox to be the next Sega console. I loved Toejam and Earl on the Sega Genesis. I love Toejam and Earl 2 on the Sega Genesis. And of course, I had to hop on the train when we got these guys in an exclusive game on the Xbox. So basically, there's hub-based worlds in this game, and it's a full 3D game for the first time in the series, which is really awesome as well. There's like a lot of different zany enemies and stuff like that. Some of them are very much like the ones from the previous game, which is awesome in my opinion. There's different characters you can choose from. Obviously, Toejam, who does like the fast and the high jumps and has kind of a more weak attack. Earl, of course, more tanky, has some powerful attacks and things like that. There's also Letitia, who's more balanced with her attacks and things like that. So there's that to kind of keep up. The other cool thing is that there is co-op in this game, drop in, drop out. I always love that. You know, I missed the lost art of a good co-op game, but yeah, that's really cool to this. The game didn't really do well, but you know, it is a really cool, fun game to kind of enjoy. And you know, if you like sort of Toejam and Earl and funky kind of fun games, then this one's highly recommended. I always have a big smile on my face when I play this game because it's just really just a ton of fun and so enjoyable in my opinion. So you know, yeah, just awesome. If you guys are enjoying this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share it out. It really helps out the channel on my way to 10,000 subscribers. I mean, that's really a number that I thought I'd never get. But if you enjoy the retro videos that I do, it really helps out. I'm not asking for anything else, just a like of the video, a comment. Those things go a long way, and I always respond to the comments. So if you comment, you can expect to get a comment back. I love hearing from you all. It's so much fun. Thank you so much for the support.
Well, well, well. Well, well, well. Well, well, well.
Haha, y'all thought I was gonna do a Simpsons reference because I'm doing Simpsons Road Rage next. Nope. So, anyway, Simpsons Road Rage, one of my favorite games, and this is one that's incredibly hard to find, especially out in the wild. You can get it in some places, but it's going to cost you a little bit more than the average game. What's cool about this game is it's just Crazy Taxi but Simpsons skinned, you know. And the good thing about this game is that it was never like this huge massive hit back in the day, right? It was not. And when you look at it now, it's just like this cult following, and I love that about it, you know, because I'm such a Simpsons fan, and it's nice to see that it was able to kind of pick up and do something and be recognized all these years later, you know. So that's why I kind of love what's kind of going on with this game. It is so much fun. Like I said, if you like Crazy Taxi, you're gonna love this game. So you're basically driving, picking up players. There's different Springfield districts that you get to kind of pick from, very arcadey and things like that. The roads are filled with like obstacles, and you kind of stop and pick up a person, and then you got to take them to where they're going. That way you get cash, and you can kind of progress the game a little bit. There's also different modes and things that you can kind of get in there. It's really a faithful recreation in the Simpsons aesthetic, which I love about it, you know. Everybody knows, if you follow my channel, I am like the Simpsons guy, and you know, when there's a Simpsons game that I can play for a video, everything really is coming up Milhouse.
Everything's coming up Milhouse.
Next up is Jade Empire, of course, the massive BioWare game that didn't seem to get the love that it deserved, in my opinion, and I would have loved to seen a sequel. It also came out pretty late in the Xbox life cycle, a few months before the launch of the Xbox 360, so that could have been why it didn't really do as well. But this is cool because this game is backwards compatible on a 360 and a Series X and S, so I guess that's pretty cool. It's getting rarer to find this game out in the wild, but it is awesome. You know, it's a typical BioWare game in a lot of ways. The combat system, however, is in real time, which was a little bit of a change up from the Knights of the Old Republic, which, you know, again, I love that game as well. But it's really cool. The combat is super fluid. There's dodging, blocking. You kind of get together and chain some combos together. The boss fights, of course, are pretty dynamic and fun in the game. The story in this game is phenomenal with lots of twists and turns. I won't give everything away, but BioWare's branching dialogue tree lets you kind of do different things in this game as well, which is basically how they do all their games. You kind of shape your relationships. You can unlock romance options. You can have different things like that. So it's really cool. If you're really smooth at this game, you can end up with 2 girls at the end of the game. It's tougher to do, but it's possible. There's multiple endings as well, and this game could take you anywhere from 25 to 30 hours to beat. It's got a lot of replayability as well as side content and things like that. So yeah, it's very unique. It's a very fun story. It's a game that never gets talked about enough, in my opinion, but it is absolutely a great game and a more rare game these days. Next up is a super rare game that I don't think I've ever seen out in the wild, which is Bruce Lee Quest of the Dragon. Now, definitely not the best game ever or anything like that, but this is a fun little game, and it's actually probably one of the first Bruce Lee licensed video games on a console that I can remember, which is really cool. Exclusive, by the way, to the original Xbox. So there is that as well. This basically is sort of a fictionalized version of Bruce Lee's real life with some cinematic flair. It's at its core very much a beat 'em up sort of combat, linear level, side-scrolling 3D brawler, sort of Double Dragon-esque or like Final Fight. You can kind of get some combos together, punches, kicks, jumps, and even grapple, which I think is really cool. There's some exploration as well as progression, so there's no real deep puzzles or keys or anything like that. It's very much kind of forward-facing. What you see is what you get. You do collect power-ups like health orbs and chai boosts as well in battles. There's boss fights, which again, I love a good boss fight. I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. There's cinematic boss fights that kind of lead to, they have a little bit different style. AI, not the best, but it's not exactly difficult either. So there is that as well. So again, which is really cool, if you actually do beat the game, you unlock some extra special things that you can go through and make you kind of want to play again. A lot of fun. This isn't the best game in the world by any means, but it's one of those more rare games. It's tough to kind of come by just out in the wild. And if you do see it for a decent price, I always advise picking it up because it is fun once you get the hang of it. Next up is a game called Advent Rising, which is a very cool game. It had a very promising kind of idea that didn't, I guess, pan out exactly right. Came out in 2005. So again, this is a game that was, I believe, at least somewhat hampered by the fact that the 360 was coming out that as well. It's a very good sci-fi game as well, third-person shooter combat, which lets you kind of fluidly switch between third and first-person views for the gunplay. There's a very fun variety of weapons and things like that you can choose from in the game, which is really cool. You also have a situation where you can use psychic powers, which is very awesome in this game. Like, you can level up and level up your powers and things like that. There's not really a grind for XP or anything like that, which is also something that's refreshing. This was kind of like this was originally going to be sort of Mass Effect before Mass Effect. It was kind of the precursor to that. It was originally going to be I think a trilogy of games, and it ended up kind of flopping a bit. But if you might remember, they did like a $1 million award thing. Somebody was going to win it. I don't think anybody ended up winning it, but the gameplay is fun. It's got an interesting story. It takes a little bit to get used to the actual gameplay itself, the dynamic. It takes some getting used to, but once you do get used to it, it's a lot of fun. And also, this game is in fact backwards compatible with Xbox Series, so yeah, that's pretty cool as well. Nice to see that, there's some interesting things. If you come across this game, it's probably not going to be too expensive, but it is becoming increasingly rare to find this game out in the wild, so if you do see it, you might want to pick it up. Next up, a fun game called Conker Live and Reloaded. I'm sure most of you know about this game, but it is really something that I enjoy playing. And again, this game came out late in the life of the Xbox, so a lot of people kind of didn't bother with it. It is backwards compatible though, so if you wanted to play it, you could do it. 3D action platformer. This was by Rare, so a Rare game by Rare, right? Pretty funny stuff. Anyway, it's basically, this is not a kid's game by any means, even though it looks kind of that way. Conker is a booze-loving, foul-mouthed squirrel. He kind of just wants to get home after he was out all night drinking and just doing a lot of stuff, so he's really hungover as well. It's a platformer. It's basically, you have 3D levels and things like that. It's really got some tight mechanics and controls too. Like, honestly, it's like some of the best controls that you'll find, and it's a lot of fun. And there's combat, which is melee, which is basically what he does. And there's boss fights. Again, I love the boss fights, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. Yeah, so much fun. And this is a classic game. I wish we would have got a sequel, but I don't think this series ever found its footing, unfortunately. But for me anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's such a good game and such a fun thing to kind of play and just enjoy as a fan of gaming, to see Rare actually be able to go out there and do something like this. I absolutely love it. I think that most people will too. And if you find the copy of this game physically, for sure, pick it up. I mean, you can get the game through Rare Replay on Xbox One or Series X and S or whatever the case may be, which is fine if you just want to play it, but just getting the physical version on Xbox is going to be tough, and it's increasingly tough to find it as well. Next up, a fun game called Conker Live and Reloaded. I'm sure most of you know about this game, but it is really something that I enjoy playing. And again, this game came out late in the life of the Xbox, so a lot of people kind of didn't bother with it. It is backwards compatible though, so if you wanted to play it, you could do it. 3D action platformer. This was by Rare, so a Rare game by Rare, right? Pretty funny stuff. Anyway, it's basically, this is not a kid's game by any means, even though it looks kind of that way. Conker is a booze-loving, foul-mouthed squirrel. He kind of just wants to get home after he was out all night drinking and just doing a lot of stuff, so he's really hungover as well. It's a platformer. It's basically, you have 3D levels and things like that. It's really got some tight mechanics and controls too. Like, honestly, it's like some of the best controls that you'll find, and it's a lot of fun. And there's combat, which is melee, which is basically what he does. And there's boss fights. Again, I love the boss fights, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. Yeah, so much fun. And this is a classic game. I wish we would have got a sequel, but I don't think this series ever found its footing, unfortunately. But for me anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's such a good game and such a fun thing to kind of play and just enjoy as a fan of gaming, to see Rare actually be able to go out there and do something like this. I absolutely love it. I think that most people will too. And if you find the copy of this game physically, for sure, pick it up. I mean, you can get the game through Rare Replay on Xbox One or Series X and S or whatever the case may be, which is fine if you just want to play it, but just getting the physical version on Xbox is going to be tough, and it's increasingly tough to find it as well. Next up is Panzer Dragoon Orta, which is a really cool game. Again, this is one of those games that kind of makes the original Xbox a bit like the Dreamcast 2 or like the next Sega console. So it's a rail shooter released exclusively on the Xbox. Again, this was a game that was scheduled to release on the Dreamcast. I mean, think about all the cool games that were going to release on the Dreamcast, and they ended up releasing on Xbox, and then PlayStation ended up getting a handful of exclusive games as well. So you ride a dragon, a bit of an on-rails type thing, controlling the movement. There's a little bit of a limited 3D space where you can shoot enemies, but it's cool. It does require some quick reflexes as well. There's a lot of linear episodes in this game with different varying kind of locations, so it is fun to kind of get in there and play. It does take a little bit to kind of get the hang of it, but you can adjust the difficulty. The hard is, like, this is a tough game, but it's almost impossible to find this game out in the wild anymore, so there is that. But the controls are really good. They're really fluid. The game looks great. It plays great. There's some side stories. There's like a main story that's really nice, and there's some exploration, but maybe not as much as I would like. But it's still just a really good game from top to bottom that handles great and is pretty much everything you could ask for in a game. So that'd be really cool to kind of see how this kind of all works out. Really nice that they're able to kind of pull all this stuff together. So yeah, highly recommend it. And if you can find this game, pick it up, especially if you can find it for cheap, because I've never found it out in the wild. And last but not least, Otogi which is a game, Myth of Demons actually is the subname of it, developed by From Software, and again, published by Sega. This was exclusive. There's 2 of these Otogi games on Xbox, both of them highly collectible. The second one you're going to probably pay over $100 for, but both games are pretty good, and you know, this is the first game. I think it's pretty awesome. Again, third-person action game. It's very much a hack and slash, linear levels, but you know, it's through like a very cool third-person view. You have a different arsenal of weapons. You can have swords. You can have twin swords. You can use other weapons as well, which I think is really cool. That you're able to kind of mix it up through there as well. There's 15 different stages. Some light platforming, nothing too hard. You know, thankfully, you know, there's a lot to kind of unpack in this game. There's boss fights again. I'm a sucker for the boss fights, and this game really does a really fun job at that. So the levels can be a little bit short there, you know, anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes each. So if you wanted to kind of learn the game and then do speed runs or whatever, you could probably do that. But it is very much a cool game. It's got some awesome kind of artwork as well, as you can see. So the style of game still holds up to this day. It can be a little bit difficult, so there's a learning curve there. But overall, this is a fun game, and it's a game that is becoming more and more rare as we go along to find. So if you do ever come across it for a decent price, I highly suggest picking it up. And there you have it. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this video. I had a really good time putting it together. What are some of the rare games or more uncommon games on Xbox that you guys like? Because I think it's such a collectible console right now, and it's, for the most part, incredibly cheap to pick up a lot of the games. But these are some of the games that I would suggest keeping an eye out for. And if you ever come across them for a cheap price and you collect, hey, go all out, because it's awesome to have these games in your collection. And, you know, you can never go wrong. Xbox is just a great console to collect for. So if you guys enjoy my content, like, share, subscribe, comment. I'm looking forward to catching you guys next time. Be respectful in the comments, and have a good time gaming, my friends.